Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I must say football is back, and just for that, that's a deserve a like on this video. But we have a lot of great things to touch on and talk about today, and I have three massive storylines for the Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's going to be a big time game. Hopefully it's entertaining, everything that we all anticipate and want to see. But I'm going to start off with Chris Jones, because I've been hearing a lot of things about Chris Jones, some good, some bad, different things we've been hearing, some trade rumors. I don't think they'll trade him at all. He's that type of player in my eyes. But when I look at it, I think we all see 15.5 sacks. Right now, when we talk about the contract negotiations, I've heard that they're very far apart. I've heard that from multiple sources, but I think that right now it's Aaron Donald, and you can kind of say it's Quinnen Williams, but it's really Aaron Donald than everyone else. When we talk about tiers for contract levels, I think Chris Jones wants it to be Aaron Donald and Chris Jones and then everybody else. Now, Quinnen Williams got paid handsomely. Daron Payne got paid handsomely. These guys are very good interior prospects, but I think that what makes Chris Jones stand out, for me at least, with a guy like Aaron Donald, is the pass rush value. He gets pass rush production like an edge. If you have not seen my film breakdown on Chris Jones, I strongly suggest that you watch that after this video to fully understand what I'm saying. Of course, we have different things to talk about in this video, and we can't get into the all 22 right here, but this is a guy that you can go and get 15 sacks. Okay, that's pretty on the stat sheet. Whoop-de-doo. But you can have 80 pressures. You can have 70 pressures, and people won't see that fully unless you're watching the full game. So he's an impact player for everything that it's worth. I think that he ends up getting the money, but as far as how it will impact the game on Thursday, he's not going to be there. I think that unless there's a drastic change, and it could be, and if it happens, then we'll change that up and report on that as well. But right now, I think that there's a 75% chance that he doesn't play and a 25% chance that he does play. I mean that it's not that he won't be there this season, or he did say week 8. As far as how long he will hold out. But I think that it's really, we're trying to get some guarantees. We're trying to get a little higher than Quinnen Williams, but we're trying to get a little closer to Aaron Donald. Just some of those small things in the contract negotiations. And nobody's talking about Nick Bosa. I mean, there's a couple of guys who have some things going on. These big time defensive players, it's really about resetting the market. And I think Quinnen Williams, he tried to reset it a bit, but you're not getting Aaron Donald money. You got a lot of money, but you're not getting above 30 million. So that's what the New York Jets said and what they really had going on, because that was an ongoing contract negotiation. But I think it's going to be important because we look at the inside linebacker duo, Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. And I think it's a very good group, especially for Kansas City. But the biggest thing is that when you don't have your guy, how open will those pass rush lanes be? How open will the gaps be to read your run keys? So it's just little things like that that I think will have a major impact on the game. And that's why it's a massive storyline to me, because the Detroit Lions, they like to run the football. They're going to pass the football. And if you don't have a guy like Chris Jones, that may not only expose some weaknesses in your secondary, but amongst that linebacker core. So it's something I'm monitoring. I don't think it's end all be all, but it is a very, very huge impact. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is that Aaron Glenn, Kelvin Shepherd, they still have some things going on with their linebacker core. And what I've read is that Aaron Glenn intends to play all 4 top linebacker guys. And we know those guys. If you're a Kansas City guy, you may not know those guys, but Detroit Lions fans know. Malcolm Rodriguez, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell. Those 4 guys, if everything goes as planned, will all get snaps on Thursday night. And I think that is important and interesting because what I've said, and we've seen, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, hopefully, if not, check out my film breakdown on Jack Campbell. But what I've been echoing and saying so much to this point, I think that he's the guy. You drafted him 18th overall. That says a lot right there. But I think that he's the guy, but you don't have to rush him because you got a Derek Barnes, because you have an Alex Anzalone. So it's not saying that he won't start and be the 10-year vet eventually, but it's saying that right now we understand the linebacker position. You got to read your keys. You got to make the calls. You got to do so many different things because Jack Campbell is going to get those Mike looks. Derek Barnes is the starting Mike. Alex Anzalone is at the wheel. So Jack Campbell will come and be that second string Mike. So he's going to be that guy in the middle of the field, pertaining and holding everything down. But I think that, like I said, when you have veterans in the room, we don't got to rush you. So right now, today, Derek Barnes may be more fit to lead this team in the opening drive. But you got to watch it closely because everything I've shown you guys and everything we talk about with Jack Campbell, he is a very second close. He's not far off or far away at all. So I think that when we look at the middle of the season, he's going to be on the football field. And for me, at least, I think is that we're trying to see how does Derek Barnes possibly translate to the wheel? And I've been saying it because Alex Anzalone, yes, he got re-signed, but there is so much talent in the room. Malcolm Rodriguez is not a guy you could sleep on because he was slept on last year. And when all odds are against him, he makes plays on the football field. So just something that we have to watch and monitor because Isaiah Pacheco for the Kansas City Chiefs, he says that he wants to go for 1,000. Andy Reid, and I don't get this because the Kansas City Chiefs, every time I talk about them, when they've had those Super Bowl teams, they can run the football. I talk about Daryl Williams. I talk about some of the other running backs they've had in that backfield. And it's not a huge name. It's not Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, but it's still guys who can run the football. Isaiah Pacheco, although he was a 7th-round pick, a very, very good player and only going to get better in year 2. So that's why the linebacker position is so important. And also adding to the fact that this is a team who runs a West Coast system. It's not the same bomb it down the field, throw it to Tyreek Hill and just pray. But we have some of the offense and now saying we're going to run a lot of motion, trying to get the linebackers off of their keys. And then we can run some RPOs. We can throw a lot of different things in there. Travis Kelce. Hopefully, I want to see what Brian Branch does on Travis Kelce. I think that's going to be a big matchup. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he's going to be back at the safety, but he can also rotate up to the nickel. So it's really, how are they going to manage Travis Kelce? I think right now, and this is an interesting topic of debate, but Travis Kelce is probably a top 3 tight end all time. And probably by the end of his career, he may be one. Now, there's some very good ones, and we could talk about that in the comments. But for the sake of this video, that is an interesting point that I want to note out. In those linebackers, they're going to have to help in that role as well of stopping Travis Kelce. It's not going to be man-to-man. I don't think any linebacker can handle that unless you're maybe Fred Warner. But just that's why that's important. They're going to run the football. You want to see what those linebackers do as you sort through that battle and try to figure out who are the top 2 guys solidified and locked in. Now, the final thing I want to talk about, the third storyline, is kind of, for me, I want to know where's the mentality of both of these teams. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, when you look at a comparison and kind of an analogy, it's kind of like a big brother, little brother battle. And it's not saying that the Detroit Lions, they don't deserve to be there. It's not saying that they're just the huge, heavy underdogs that have no shot of winning the game. But it's saying, okay, the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Patrick Mahomes, he's probably going to be on the arc to be a top 3 quarterback of all time. He's the best in the game, and it's not even close right now. So we look at everything they have. We look at Travis Kelce. We look at some of the guys on the defense, minus Chris Jones maybe. But I think it's very important because ring ceremony, all of the things that are happening, defending champions, opening night, they don't want to buy into the hype. If they're the Kansas City Chiefs going against the Detroit Lions, they don't want to say, we want to be the team who lets the Detroit Lions send a message. And for the Detroit Lions, I think all of the guys are locked in. Really, from what I'm seeing, from Jared Goff to Dan Campbell to Brad Holmes, although he's the general manager, from that perspective, you have to look at it and say, okay, these guys are coming, and they're extremely hungry. I mean, everything that I've heard, not scared of the expectations, ready to fight, ready to battle, and hungry to kill from the Detroit Lions. So you have to look at that, and those are some guys who are going to come at you with everything they have. So for the Kansas City Chiefs, it has to be the mindset of that, okay, we're not underestimating these guys. That's the first thing you got to get out the way. And then the second thing is that we want to show people that we're that same team. A lot of people, for what it's worth, they say, okay, you lose Tyreek Hill. Can you do it again? They showed you they could do it again without Tyreek Hill. And I think there's still some doubt. Now, some people, they believe in the Kansas City Chiefs, and they should be the number 1 ranked team in the preseason for the AFC. But it's the fact of saying that, okay, you did it last year. For everything that is worth, the Cincinnati Bengals almost had you. The New York Jets are getting better. The Buffalo Bills cannot be counted out. The Jacksonville Jaguars are coming. It's a lot of teams, and we're not getting into all of that. But the AFC is stacked. So can they hold everybody off and get that 3rd Super Bowl again? Can they be that team again? And the first game is not going to tell you if they're going to win the Super Bowl or not. But it's very important to add to the fact you want to see, okay, is this the same team? Are they showing any weaknesses? Or do they have the same tendencies and some of the things that we saw last year? Offensively, I think that's the most important thing. Defensively, you don't have Chris Jones, so you don't get the full taste. But like I said, it's a 25% chance for me that he plays. And like I said, the Detroit Lions, they're coming in. It's been a long time. Long time since they've won the North. Long time since they've made the playoffs even. I mean, in the NFC North, there's some other young, hungry teams. But talking about them in particular, they want to beat the heck out of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that the mindset is the first thing for me and the first step in how do you do that. And for both teams, I think that I'm looking at the receiving core. Sky Moore, how are you stepping up in year 2? And really, Kadarius Toney, are you going to be fully healthy for the game? Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's battling an ankle. So I'm looking at those types of things, and I want to know what you guys are looking at. But for right now, those are my 3 massive storylines for Thursday night. First game of the NFL season. It's been a long time since we've had football. And like I said, just for that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. But it's that time, and you can start to feel it. I hope that you guys can feel it through me with the excitement and everything that we have for the NFL season is here. It's real. And today is Monday. I hope you guys have a good Monday for everything that it's worth. I'm happy. Hope you're happy. I'm ready to see football. Like I said, college football, it's been doing it. It's been exceptional so far. Coach Prime, LSU versus FSU, all of the things that I've been seeing. Football, basketball is about to be here. It's that time. But that's going to do it for today's show. Once again, thank you for watching as always. And now, we out.